Hey, good morning, folks. And we've got a little weakness across the board, it looks like to me. If I'm looking at the general market, you're down here at 69.17. My pivot number today was 69.45. I'm looking at looking across the board. I see General Motors, Walmart look okay. The big surprise of the morning was Apple Computer. Apple Computer's been in a bear run. Went down, I think, I got to check the low, about 240 something, 249.48 this year. And then this morning, it looked like that, Apple was an IPO the way it came out of the chute. Once it got above 72.50, that's the importance of the yearly open. Once it got above 272.50, it was time to engage Apple. And Apple right now is at 276.49. Let me give you some numbers on the upside. 278, 280, 283, and 286. That's sort of what's above Apple. Obviously 272 support, but 275 is a good number for small support. But anyway, I had a real good morning this morning. It was fast and furious. You can't, if you were sitting here with me, you might have could have traded with me, but it was fast and furious where it was interesting. But one of the interesting things that I found out is that, and I guess it just hit me this morning, Apple has 3 expirations a week. Is everybody aware of that? I didn't notice it until today. 3 expirations a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's pretty wild because I like selling. Obviously, if you're in my silver wheel, you know that I like selling options with short expirations. And this morning I said, goodness gracious, expires today? Okay. So anyway, that was a pleasant surprise this morning. So I guess I'll look at that as a strategy going forward for everybody. But anyway, thought that was good. I made an announcement this morning. We're going to, the silver wheel will start again today, or one. We're actually engaged the silver wheel this afternoon. I got that to look forward to. And I just think that I'll get up to speed on this Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but I see a whole bunch of incomes and strategies for that. Okay. So anyway, that's something to look forward to that even I got surprised about this morning as I was trading it. So we got that in front of us. And you got gold and silver, which had a big run last night. If you just give you an idea, and we'll get in there. But let me cover this disclaimer: past performance is not indicative. Okay, risk involved in trading. But one of the things that I actually was long last night on gold, GLD. Put GLD in there if you will. You got a 30-minute. Where'd it go? 468 area? Yeah. And then it went into a buy failure. As you look at it come down below that, probably headed to the target down there at 448. But anyway, that was quite a run overnight. A pleasant surprise, we might say. I'm having a lot of positive surprise. It always happens this way the third day. My eyes get open to all the opportunities and I get excited. I got a good night's sleep last night. In fact, I was late this morning publishing my stuff in TNT because I actually didn't get up today at 5 like I normally get up. I got up at 6. So I'm wide awake and ready to do some stuff. So we put out a trade this morning in TNT. Did everybody get the trade we put out in TNT this morning? Yeah, I like that trade, so we put that out. But I think if you think about Apple, it works for every stock that way. During the year, if a stock's below its yearly open and moves above its yearly open, there's some money there, okay? So I keep up with stocks I'm interested in when that happens, okay? And Apple's obviously one I'm always interested in. So I talked to a client this morning that loves Apple, and I said, it's time to take a bite, and 76.40. Pretty good stuff. And you can see Apple's got a little flag pattern, they call it, here at the top. So we'll see how it ends up today, but it's really, really holding up pretty good. Now, yeah, go back to the previous screen, if you will. Can you go back?
We need to update it, Tom. What's your numbers you're using?
I got 70-25.
That's pretty far up there.
Yeah, you could lower that to 69-45 right now. And then on the downside, I would use 68-75. Now, what that means is if the S&P goes to 69.45, the QQQ would be at 610.83. We're at 607 right now. In fact, the QQQ's had 100% of its ATR already today. That means that it gets tough when you see that right there, 100% of the QQQ here on this day. And the low at Jonathan, 68, I believe, 68.64 is the low. You might come down and test that number, if not break it here on the third day. But remember, the third day, if you make a new low today, that's your new low you use for your 3 days. So you got a lot going on today, and I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the market. It's sort of interesting that I feel good that I guess we got that Apple trade. Other than that, I don't have anything else out there. So let's, if we will, let's go, Jonathan, to the slides.
And Tom, on the slides today, the big issue, of course, is going to be Google reporting earnings after the bell. That's the big news that everybody's waiting on. But also, as you mentioned, we're going to complete the first 3 days algo today. And right now, we got a high and low in place. It looks like they're going to stay. It looks like we're going to be inside, but we'll see if we expand on that range. So that's one of the big things that we at DTI are paying attention to. And then the geopolitical tensions, whether it's trade deals, whether it's Iran, whatever it is, that's always something that's kind of hitting the news. As far as one thing that's not on this list, Tom, we've talked a lot about the tariff ruling from the Supreme Court. That's not going to be a day-to-day thing. They're not going to be in session for a little while, so we don't have to concentrate on that or be aware of that. Or I guess it's not in the immediacy right now. So it is about
I got
earnings.
a comment there, Chuck. Cauchy had a poll about that, and I looked at it, and the percentage, I said, I didn't know that news you just told me, but I looked at Cauchy, and it said low percentage of the Supreme Court ruling against tariffs until it goes out a while. And I said, well, hey, you got that much, like you're saying, that much space between that uncertainty and it, affecting the market again. Okay.
Yeah, it'll be a good long while before there's a possibility of a ruling. So
Right.
we got a bit of a break on that. But earnings and geopolitical tensions, those are the big things driving the market. And we'll get our first 3 days completed at the end of the day. Really looking forward to see what those numbers are. Right now, we have 68, 64, 50 on the low end. We have 70, 27 quarter on the top end. And by the way, Tom, the midpoint of those two numbers, 69.45. Go figure.
I did figure. I did it 3 different ways, and I came up with my pivot number the same way, looking at all the different stuff. It was 69.45, and that number, that's why I told Jonathan, plug it into the moneymaker, 61.45. Okay.
Yeah, big number in the market. And let's see, now we go to the slide where we say, what's your opinion, Tom? But of course, you've already expressed it. You got anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I tell you what I want to add. I think people start now understand having the odds in your favor is going to put money in your account. And, for traders, it's a hard thing to do. And I like your analogy about you didn't trade before you were here and you're not going to trade after you're gone. that was a real good analogy, Chuck. I've known you all these years. That's the first time I ever heard it. Who was the guy that you talked to that gave you that? Was that McFarland?
No, it wasn't McFarland. I can't remember. It was one of those early students. I want to say he was a doctor in Mobile, but like way back. So not the one you're thinking of.
Yeah.
But
McFarland was a guy that I worked with. He taught me everything about grains and cattle and all that stuff. McFarland was a card. I got
don't forget
story after
eggs.
story about McFarland.
Don't forget eggs. That man knew more about chickens than any man I've ever known.
Oh, the eggs, yeah. And that Jack Daniel you'd have every day at lunch.
I remember when
sandwich.
I remember cleaning out his office. How many bottles did we find stuck in the file cabinets?
Yeah. He was I would say this, a very rich Mobilian, and he liked Lincoln Continentals, and he'd driving and parking. Y'all know that, where he never sold it, he just had it stacked up on his property. His card.
Yeah,
it got me laughing when I was thinking about old Mac.
Yeah, but I will say this though, coming up in that, as we started DTI, learning from all those traders that you were hanging around at the time, whether it be McFarland or, a couple of the other names that I won't throw them out there, but you might if you want to. It's amazing what you can learn by hanging around traders, which is one of the reasons we have sessions like this, so you get to hang around traders.
Yeah, this is a lonely game, and you know it, and I know it, and it's nice to have some people to chat with because we got the same issues. We're just trying to take our money and grow it, and I think it boils down to educating yourself, because when you get educated, it's like a picture happens for you, and you get a framework. It's like anything else you do in life. You made your money, doing the experience and learning things, and I really hope that we're adding something to that. And I think that as long as you keep an open mind, you'll learn something. And hopefully, you have a great year because you learned something that you heard here. One thing to make your money is just watch those yearly opens. They're pretty valuable. It's already made money for me this year. Does it every year. Apple was the first one to apply. So that's an example. That's my opinion. Train and trade, 11 o'clock we meet, and I've sort of oriented my day that I like getting, talking about the market this time, because I've seen the market. I see what they're dealing and what you're doing, and it's pretty interesting. Again, T-Buzz Talk and Trade was the recipient this morning of an Apple trade. And I think DTItrader.com, you can join us at TNT. Good stuff comes in there, and really get a first look at what I'm thinking anyway. And sometimes it might be a little valuable to you during the day. Here's some resources that we have. Winning the Day Trade Games, my first book, 11 different languages. The white papers, Jonathan's done a great job. We expanded the white papers. We added some extra stuff in there, like the 10 things about options you got to know. The YouTube page, be sure to do thumbs up if you like anything. I understand that's important to know about that. Important terms to know. The option playbook. I actually, David, that was in town, he ordered him one, I ordered me one, and I'm going to try to hold on to this one. They all get away from me. I've been buying those things for years. I said, I'm going to hold this one. I think it's a good book to explain options to you conceptually. That's the way I would think about it, okay? Today's topic, how to spot the strongest stocks during the first 3 days of each month. A strong stock tends to finish a given strong stock tends to finish a given time period in the upper half of its range. ideally in the top third and near the high of the bar. And that's what we were looking at this afternoon in live trading. It's what stocks qualify. A weak stock finishes that given time period in the lower half of the range, ideally in the lower part of the bar. Today's the last day of the 3-day algo for February. We'll look for stocks in the top half to the top 1/3 to be candidates for us getting long in the 3-day algo. Now notice I said getting long. As long as we're above the monthly open, I swear I'll be thinking of the S&P. Don't play against those odds. This morning I was eyeing some specific stocks. I said good morning. General Motors, Walmart, RTX, SPY, and KGC. I'd like to have an index in there because you can tell when you need to be long by looking at the SPY. Now, a little gold there with KGC. Been up as high as almost 40, so if it stays bullish, it should go back up there. Now let's go to the 3-day algo spreadsheet to spot the stocks that might be setting up. Here's where Jonathan is going to update this, and we're going to go through it.
All right, Tom, it's 11:19. I updated it 11:16, so we're good to go through this. I'm going to highlight this is kind of the 3-day high so far, subject to change, but I'm going to highlight these 4 columns here, and actually I'll highlight these 3 to make it a little bit easier. Just compare the current price to the high and low and see, are we closer to the high or are we closer to the low? And if you want to know a ballpark figure, there's that midpoint. Are we above or below the midpoint, kind of your starting data point. And then if you are above the midpoint, see if you're closer to the high or closer to the mid.
So right now, if this was at the end of the day, right now you'd be saying, hey, 75% of all stocks are weak. Does everybody see that summation I just did real quickly? We're below the 46, and we're closer to the low than we are to the high. Very simple analysis, but it works if this was the time we were looking at it. Notice I said this is the time. The key time to look at this is in the last hour on the 3rd day. This is so valuable. So we can start there with E-mini and say, hey, we need to get it back above 45. Where does the NASDAQ need to get back above?
25,540. 25,540 is the midpoint.
Yeah, you're about 500 points below that, and you're making a new low right now for the NASDAQ. You notice that?
And NASDAQ's weak. NASDAQ's our weaker market.
Yeah, what does that tell you? Let's just stop there. What does it tell you that the NASDAQ's weak? What stocks are going to be affected? Yeah, tax week. Trader Ann said that Orion was on top of it. Yep. Yeah, Jim, if you want a copy of this sheet, Jonathan, tell them how to get a copy of the sheet.
The slide that the link is on is slide 13, but I'll post the actual spreadsheet link in the chat too. Whoever asked, if you bookmark the sheet top right, click that star, bookmark it to your web page, you won't have to go searching for it anymore. The link's not going to change.
You got to have this sheet bookmarked if you care anything about trading. It's so valuable because tomorrow his sheet will highlight the ones that are above and below tomorrow. We get a real picture tomorrow on long and short.
Tomorrow we'll move these over. These 2 columns, it'll say long and highlight green if it's above the FTD high. It'll say
you
short.
You can't make them work right now, can you?
No.
Okay. Here's a real flat no on that one. Okay. Okay. All right. So you come down the board. What do you see? You see a very weak market. What's the midpoint of crude oil? I want to look at that real quick. Crude oil midpoint, 62.93. Yep, right there at midpoint. Okay. Silver midpoint, you got it at 81.60. Okay. And you got gold midpoint at 47.69. Is that right? 47.69? Yeah. So you're bullish on gold and silver looking at those two. Bitcoin, you got a midpoint of 76. Woo, you blow 75. Look at that. That was my target, 75. I might have to look hard at Bitcoin. TLT, which is interest rates, you got 86. Pretty well right there at the midpoint. SPX, 69.27, below that today. 68.95 right now. It's dropped even further. This is one that gets me. QQQ's midpoint 618. We're at 608 on the sheet, and it's already down to 608. I thought I saw it a little bit lower, 608. Okay. TQQ's below its midpoint. Diamond, is the diamond above, Dow above?
Yes, it is.
What does it tell you if the 30 Dow stocks are above? It means that might be where we need to go fishing because you got more longs over there, okay, than you do in the general market. That's what that tells me. Financial stocks are good. Utility stocks are neutral. XBI, I call it neutral. AGQ is positive. SLV, 75 to 78, that's positive. PAAS, positive. NIM is positive. HECLA, 22 is positive. KGC is positive. Gold is positive. Okay. Let's see. I'm just looking here. MU's one took the bath, didn't it? 411. It dropped to 380. I don't know what's going on there. 386 right now. Okay. Keep you on that. Wow. Down. STX, I got 429 midpoint. WDC, I got 268. Walmart, I got 124. That's why I've been pumping Walmart because it's been, ever since the first day of the year, it's been good. General Motors, good. RTX. Now, RTX, I thought it was better that the midpoint's 201. I hadn't checked RTX today. It must be down or something. Okay, RTX, Nike, neutral. JP Morgan, neutral. Goldman Sachs, negative. Citibank, positive. NNE, neutral. Palantir's negative. Joby, I got a mid of 10, that's neutral. Hey, make sure you got Walmart on here, and WDC. Those are two stocks I've been looking at.
Yep, we cycled through them. They're right there on the sheet. So that's still first 3 days are still not formed.
Yeah, I got another stock I want you to add. It's one I picked up. It's called Grid, GRID. GRID.
I'll have to look that one up. Grid. What they do. NASDAQ Clean Edge Smart Grid Infrastructure Index Fund. That's a mouthful.
Let's see another one. We went through Apple showing how it was become the beautiful child today. Got Grid. Now here's one I also want to put on there for the time being, SATS, S-A-T-S, Jonathan, S-A-T-S. S.
SATS.
And you got FCX on here, copper.
I'd be surprised if it's not. We need to add if it's not. No, we do need to add it. Surprised it's not on there already. Put it right below it. GDX.
And some of these stocks will never trade during February. But we start with a basket of stocks, and what we're trying to find is which stocks qualify. Go back to Apple real quick. This is a trick question. I'm gonna tell you it's quick. Is Apple an outright buy today? Jim B says yes. Neil said no. Neil's right because we got to finish today, but Apple needs to go above today's high to be an outright buy. But you can probe it though. You can probe this stock. I did this morning. You can probe it. But it's not confirmed as an outright buy, even though it sure does look good considering the January low was 243. And we went up. Bruce, I might probe it if it's near the top of if it's near the top, I might probe Apple at the end of the day. I'm telling you that right now. Apple was awakened from a deep sleep. Look how low it went. But look at that January open, 272. It's above the January open, it's above the February open. And if you take the high and low we've been, 78 down to, what is it, Jonathan? 43, about 260. All right, pro. Let's say you got $1 to put in the market. It could be $1,000, $1 million. Okay? You take that dollar and go in half of that dollar. That's a pro. You put your feet in just to make sure you're not jumping the gun. Everybody understand that now? Pro, that terminology I use it in. Now you can start with a half or a third. I think it's easy this time of month to start at a half. Later on in the month, I might do thirds, but right now I do a half. Trader Ann, you didn't listen. He says, I understand, but you already took a trade. Yeah, I took a trade based on the momentum, and the odds said it's going to end up being a great trade. So I did take a trade. That's a probe. You wait till I get confirmation after today's high. Anyway, I'm going to be probing in the silver wheel today. It's a probe. Perfect. So if you got 5,000 to use, just use that as an example. 1,000 would go to each of the starting 5, okay? I will probably substitute Apple in the starting 5 when I get to live trading today. Just telling you, I'll probably drop off something in there or not. Now, today's recording can be found at dtitrader.com/YouTube.
Tom, I've enjoyed it. I'm going to hand it over to Chuck so I can go to my favorite thing to do, the dentist.
Is it a cleaning, Jonathan, or what is it?
Yeah, just cleaning, But anyhow, I do have to head out of here, Tom.
Okay. Well,
Great
thanks
morning.
for
We'll see you
being
this
here.
afternoon.
I appreciate it. All right, Chuck, why don't we do this? Why don't we go to the roadmap? You take control.
All right, let's see. What are we looking for in roadmap? All right, Tom.
All right, so we come down, made a low. What's the low of the day, Chuck?
Low of the day is 69.0950. We've been
Well, that's
up
right
since,
in the heart of that 6902, isn't it?
yeah, sitting right above the open of the year, a little bit below the open of the month, a little bit below the midpoint And yeah, the midpoint for the year, gotta do a quick calculation on that, but let's see.
69.45.
That's the month. Okay, my phone decided to do an Apple update real quick. So let me grab a calculator on the computer. All right, here we go. Okay, so we know that 70.43 is the high of the year. And we've got last month's low, 68.14.50 is the low. Put those together, divide by 2. So that's 69.28.75. So really between 45 and 28, you've got a market that's kind of neutral. We're above the open of the year. So the general market, Tom, I think has a lean back towards the open of the year, but still positive because it's above the open of the year, right?
Sure is, Chuck. And this is the first 3 days of the month, right? And what we're trying to determine is, will the positive January lead to a positive February? You know, we had talked about this early at the start of the month. I said, you know, we might get a little weakness in here. Well, we're getting some because we tried to go higher and they just couldn't do it. But it's holding well within the confines of.
Yeah, we're still in that range from the first 2 days. So we've got kind of a hanging out, a little bit of a Steelers wheel market, Tom. Remember that? Stuck in the middle with you?
Say that again, Chuck.
Steelers wheel, stuck in the middle with you. Remember that
okay.
song?
I don't, but it sounds like a good one.
Here I am, stuck in the middle with you.
Okay.
Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right.
Oh yeah, now, okay, now I got it. Yeah, Caitlin is a hygienist. She could straighten those Jonathan out.
So is now stuck in your head, Wendy. Yeah, well, if the market doesn't break out and move like Apple's doing right now, if the general market just kind of sticks here, there's two things that happen. Number one, it gets kind of we have to practice patience. But the other thing that happens, Tom, is the market starts giving us a little bit less volatile of a situation. And when the volatility drops down, the opportunities pop up.
I think this 3-day algo is so nice to have because you're not just saying, hey, I think it's going up or I think it's going down. You got numbers. And when you got numbers, you have a lot more confidence in making trades. Okay, bring up SLV real quick, Chuck. I want to look at SLV. Put a daily up there. Let's talk about it real quick. I've got a silver wheel happening at 1. Okay, daily, please. Is that the daily?
There you go. Yes, sir.
All right, so what's the high? Tell me the high of that red bar there. Yeah, that one.
That would be 92.14.
Okay, and what's the low of the red bar we fell out of bed with? That was Friday, right?
You mean from? Let's see. Well, actually,
tell me the low of that red bar that made the high.
Low, the red bar that made the high. That would have been Thursday, 96.74.
So 92 to 97, let's call it, on the upside. To the downside, how low did we go during this free fall of silver?
68.26.
Okay, and then we had a higher high after that low, which puts that low as your low where you have to trade and assume about 68, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and so like I said, today we're going to open up a new wheel trade at 1. So I've been looking at that and we'll be ready to go when it's time to have that fling.
All right, and Tom, I think the boys gave us a video to play here, which was your, I think, the midweek market update from last week. Kind of get everybody prepared because we got another midweek market update coming out tonight. So a lot of information coming your way. Do we want to go straight to the video and start in the background prepping for the silver wheel?
I think so. I think that's what we ought to do. And let's just see how this thing goes. Does everybody understand what we're looking for this afternoon? Everybody understand? Now, if you want to, Chuck, I don't have a link. We could open up the live trading. This is going to meet at 1:30. If you got the, and they would make an open house today because it's such an important day. If that makes.
As far as that link goes,
Ask Adam to get it, and we just invite everybody that showed here that's not a member of live trading to come see it. Okay.
yeah, I might be able to grab that link. Just give
Why don't
me.
you do that before we start the record where everybody can get it?
Yeah, let's see.
You want the 1:30 session, right? Not silver wheel.
Yeah, not the wheel, the 1:30 session. Let's invite everybody here sort of a bonus for showing up today. And it's such an important day this afternoon. I'd like them to see the rest of the piece. And I'll be discussing that at 1:30.
One second.
Yeah, I got the webinar ID, Adam. I'm just not sure how to grab that link without opening that room.
Adam will get it. He's on top of it.
Might be able to go to edit. Oh, there you go. And that's going to be the ID number. All right, so everybody's got that. It is on the recording.
That's the link if you'd like to attend. That's my live trading group. We've made so much money in there. You ought to come hear how we do it. So show up today at 1:30 and you can see it. Now this tape right here for Sunday night coming into the month, it's a good tape. And it really highlights, I think, it highlights the power of technology. So you can let it play.
All right, let's go ahead and stop the recording, and let's see. Adam, can you stop that recording?